Good day, friends. This presents an opportunity for me to offer massive congratulations to all sons and daughters of the Yoruba race, both at home and in diaspora worldwide, on the acceptance of the Yoruba Nation as the 45th member of the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization, UNPO. My name is Opeola Akinola. I'm the coordinator of the UNPO Steering Committee in the Yoruba World Congress, YWC. The YWC, Yoruba World Congress, is an umbrella organization of all Yoruba self-determination and socio-cultural groups who are making moves and coordinating to achieve the best for the Yoruba presently and unfortunately in the nation called Nigeria. The YWC is under the able leadership, the dynamic leadership of Professor Banji Akintoye. Why is this important? This is important because this great stride represents a very important step in the quest to achieve our collective goal of autonomy, self-determination, statehood, and independence for the Yoruba Nation. With the UNPO registration and acceptance, Yoruba now has a voice on the international stage via the machinery of the UNPO, which maintains a permanent presence before the European Union, the United States Congress, and the United Nations. Now we can bring out our organs of representation like a parliament and an indigenous people's government with a flag which has always been there before the 1960 independence of Nigeria, was there during the First Republic. So all these things can be brought to bear. It's all legal. And I will afford everybody to check the United Nations statutes and the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, which Nigeria is signatory to, for clarifications on this. Finally, it affords us the opportunity to participate in advocacy training, worldwide cultural festivals, election monitoring observations, and sports activities for the unrepresented nations. Presently, it's only the undiscerning that can conclude that Nigeria is at peace, that all is well with Nigeria. It's evident to all and sundry, and anybody who cares to check, that this country cannot survive as it is presently constituted. A lot has been said about restructuring, to resource control, sovereign national conference, and a lot of issues have come up, but all these ones have been rebuffed because some interests would not want it to happen. But you see, there are always rationales for decisions that are taken by every interest group, either for or against what we're saying. But in this particular instance, we cannot talk for others. We can only talk for the Yoruba Nation, as represented by the Yoruba World Congress. So to be able to stem the tide and escape from the inevitable problems that will arise, Yoruba has decided to seek the peaceful way out of all this mess. For anybody who cares to know, there is a tsunami of gigantic proportions that is approaching Nigeria, and this is happening at an awesome speed. Every day, things start happening. Things continue to happen. More negative than the past. Every day is worse than the day before. And horrendous, unimaginable things continue to happen. If we are to be wise, we must take action positively. The Nigerian society is obviously inequitable. There is nepotism and crass favoritism presently being exhibited by the government in power. Even the purveyors of the federal character principle, who are talking about marginalization of the North at a particular point, are now the people that are championing favoritism and corruption at the highest level, where every lever of power in Nigeria is headed by a Fulani Northern Muslim. There is an obvious, sinister, nihilistic, open, barefaced agenda to dominate, annihilate, subject, and occupy the south of Nigeria, especially Yoruba land. Our farmlands, inner cities, city streets, and waterways are occupied by people of doubtful origin. People of the Fulani stock who have aligned themselves with some foreigners who speak neither English nor any indigenous Nigerian language except Fufude, the language of the Fulani. And they have continued to terrorize our farmlands, abduct our Yoruba citizens, burn down forests and farmlands, kidnap people, maim, rape them, butcher them, destroy whole communities. And this is not only happening in Yoruba land, this is happening all over Nigeria, especially in the middle belt of Nigeria and the entire south. The levers of power, both military and economic, are now more or less 95% skewed in favor of the Fulani Muslim North. The armed forces, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, 2 out of the 3 are headed by Northern Muslims, except the Navy. All security agencies, almost all of them, the police, the immigrations, the customs, and so many others are all headed by Northern Muslims. We cannot continue to pretend to be in a federation where we cannot share power. Power does not belong to anybody except to God. And for us to say we have a Nigerian federation, then power must be shared. But at this stage, we are not even interested in sharing power with anyone anymore. The Yoruba Nation wants to self-determine its future, and that's why we have gone the way of taking this signal beyond the confines of Nigeria into the international community for everybody to see. If you check history, you will discover that most Yoruba leaders who have been our acclaimed leaders have either been disgraced, imprisoned, or killed. The list is endless. Right from our avatar, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who was jailed for trumped-up treasonable charges, to Kashima Olawale Abiola, who won the June 12th presidential election, hands down, was arrested, jailed, and killed eventually. We can mention Ganifa Ehimi, Taisho Lari, Beko Ransom Kuti, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, his brother, and so many others who have suffered the same fate. Probably died early because of the treatment they received while they were locked up. This cannot continue. The Yoruba nation is massive, strong, resilient, old, informed, and strong enough to determine its own future and resist whatever injustices they may be suffering from any group or any part of the polity. But we have chosen the path of peace. We have chosen the path of peace, and we have chosen to remain friends with all our neighbors in Nigeria if they choose to be our friends. But at the same time, a Yoruba nation is the future and the best option for our people. Hence, we have opted for a non-violent means of self-determination that will reduce tension, confrontation, bloodshed, and rancor, and will achieve freedom and independence for our people, the Yoruba of Southwest Nigeria, Kwara, Kogi, Kwara, Kogi, Delta, and Edo states. Let it be known that the Yoruba's choice to go the route of the UNPO is not out of cowardice or fear. It's out of the desire to maintain peace, out of the desire to achieve a civilized method of attaining our exit. And this is supported all over the world, by the United Nations, by the European Union, by the ECOWAS, and by the African Union, and all other civilized groups all over the world. The Yoruba is a very, very old civilization, and we have the ethos, we exude the ethos of Omoluabi, which means you conduct yourself in a civil manner. But this should not be misinterpreted to mean lack of capacity. And lack of capacity to repel or rebuff any hostile intent from any part of Nigeria or anywhere. Abundantly, we possess that capacity. And I will take us on a short journey through history to prove this. When the Fulani nation, when they were having their jihad, that very violent uprising that they used to disrupt the whole of present-day West Africa, the Yorubas successfully, fully and finally decimated their forces at Initial Neoshogo in 1840. So the ambition of 1804 to dip their Quran in the sea failed woefully, because the Yoruba rose up as one and stopped them in their tracks. We will still do that again if there is need for it. Secondly, during the Civil War, it's common knowledge that the most active and celebrated warrior of that particular imbroglio was Brigadier Benjamin Adekunle, a bona fide Yoruba son. He led a wholly or 90% wholly Yoruba force, the 3rd Marine Commando, which was, populated by majority Yoruba forces, and which collected the instruments of surrender from the Biafran forces under another Yoruba son, then Colonel Olusegun Obasanjo, now a retired general, a Yoruba man. When Kashima Abiola's mandate was refused by Ibrahim Babangida in 1993, and he was eventually killed, what ensued after held Nigeria in its tracks for 5 years. That did not come on stock until the military government of that time surrendered to the Yoruba desire to have their sons contest the election only, and 2 Yoruba sons were put forward. It was then that Nigeria was able to have peace. So nobody should doubt the capacity of the Yoruba nation to resist evil. Nobody should doubt that whatever Nigeria as a whole does that is against the interests of the Yoruba nation will cost Nigeria dearly. So it is always better to tread the path of peace, good neighborliness, friendship, and civility. So attempting to trample on the interest of the Yoruba, Omo Oduduwa, we will not take it down lying low. And that is why we have taken all these problems beyond the borders of Nigeria to the plates and the tables of the international community. It's arguably street knowledge that the best option for peaceful and collective peace, everlasting peace, is for all the constituents of the Nigerian nation to go their separate ways. But the government of the day and the Fulani North continues to be in self-denial, intending to force its way down the throats of everybody. They put forward a constitution that is at best fraudulent, which tells a lie about itself even at its onset, saying we the people. There was never a time or a place where we the people gathered to prepare a constitution for Nigeria, so it's a fraud. Cases are in court to prove that it's a fraud, because these cases have been adjourned sine die because they don't want to resolve it. So the UNPO membership is the way forward. And I want to enjoy all Yoruba sons and daughters to continue to celebrate this through speeches, statements, and releases on video and voice notes about their support for this move, because this is the best foot forward for the Yoruba nation. Any Yoruba individual or group that tends to be in opposition to this obviously has sinister motives beyond what we all know. And it is left for the Yoruba people to know what to do with them. We will always engage them on the altar of discussion, robust and logical arguments, because we have chosen as the Yoruba World Congress not to leave anyone behind. We will all attain the Yoruba nation of our dreams together. Thank you.